episode of the Suns Esports Podcast, where today we're going to be discussing Dardoch trade, and the LCS Playoffs, and many more things. So we have my co-host Ben. How's it going, Ben? And
Hey,
you're
guys.
obviously not in your usual setting. Where are you at right now?
I'm actually in Las Vegas on a quick one-day trip and brought my equipment and ready to do the podcast.
Nice. I'm excited. So, any sightseeing that's going to happen later today?
Oh, no, League of Legends. That's the site.
All right, sounds great. So let's jump into it. The Dardoch trade, or trade sounds like it's something positive, right? I don't even want to call it trade. What would you describe the Dardoch situation as?
He just got cut. It's pretty simple. I read online Tony, or Zix, the head coach for CLG.
Right.
He was making some like public announcements regarding like what had happened, and
Right.
from what I was able to gather information wise, he just didn't like mesh very well with the team.
Right.
And it's interesting because I watched like when you watch their first like couple of episodes of they have like a TSM Legends type show,
Right.
and he seemed to be getting along really well with them like outside of the game, but of course we don't really see what they're talking about.
Right.
So, who knows if, someone made a bad play and he flipped out, or, something happened that it caused tension. If that's the case, can't be surprised at all. I just think that it's pretty, like moving forward from the fact that he's got dropped. I think he being now on the team that he just talked trash on stream about 2 weeks ago, he said shitty org, shitty management, shitty players, all those things. So I think that's pretty interesting that that's where he went. But effectively, Dardoch says that he wants to win, and joining Team Liquid is they're not making playoffs. They're not going to Worlds. So
Right.
I think he's got a lot to think about as far as like what he really wants to do with his career, because that's like 3 strikes, you're out. So
Definitely. No, yeah, 100%. I think the issue, I was reading over the CRG article, right, and they called it as not disagreement, but apparently he didn't align with the culture and the mindset of CLG, right? And in my mind, right, I look at it as like, you're being too kind. We know what Dardoch has done in the past. We know how he is. How he acts when things don't go his way, or whenever he's in a bad situation with the team, right? Obviously, CLG is winning, right? I mean, they're potentially, number 1, number 2 team in the NALCS. So to me, it was like maybe something went wrong. They did lose a couple. I think they lost. Yeah, they lost 4 games, right? So my thing is something must have gone wrong, right? And like I said in our previous podcast episode of the Sense, when things go wrong, I feel like Dardoch just panics, and that's when the toxicity comes out. And knowing CLG and knowing how a lot of their players are always very conservative and never really outspoken, and their minds it is professionalism over anything else, just like Immortals or anything like that. I think that's where the issue came about. People were like, CLG was like, hey, whoa, this isn't TL. This isn't another organization that's going to allow you to be a crybaby about everything. So I really do think CLG has been very nice with their press release. However, at the same time, I mean, let's just be honest, right? It was something he did or something he said that really put him in a position where he is now, where now he's back on TL.
because in my understanding, Omar God, who they replaced him with from CL Counter Logic Academy, he's good, but he's not like Mike Young good. So like, it's going to be interesting to see, because from what I've heard, his playstyle is very hybrid. Like, he can play everything, which is good. What you're looking for in jungler. The one thing that he doesn't play is Lee Sin, which could really hurt them, because Lee Sin is like a very powerful pick if you use it correctly. For example, like Svenskeren has the best Lee Sin in NA, and you can see like the kind of flash ward hop kick Q combos, and for not having a jungler that can have that, I think it really will put kind of a strain on their draft. But other than that, he plays pretty much everything else. He has a good Rek'Sai, he has a good Gragas, he has a good he has a ton of good champions that he can play. But I don't think, as far as like rookie junglers go, I don't think he matches Mike Young at all.
100%. I think my worry about CLG, it's like, how do I prepare him for playoffs coming up?
Right? You don't, in Worlds especially, because they're looking
right. Looking ahead, like how is, I mean, maybe mechanically and all that, in game he's probably there, but mindset, right? At this point, a lot of these top teams, everybody's good mechanically, everybody's good macro wise, everybody's good team fighting wise. It's more the mental aspect when things go wrong, when you create a bad play, when you get out drafted and you have to play from behind. My thing is, is he mentally there? Is he prepared to endure that and all the hardships that come with playing at the highest level? That's if I'm COG, that's my worry.
Well, I mean, think about it this way. 2 weeks ago today, the kid played his first LCS game, and then he has to turn around. He has 3 more weeks left of the split,
Right.
playoffs of the split, considering, I mean, we'll assume that CLG will do well. And then right after that, they go to Korea for boot camp for Worlds. So it's like the kid literally has the most jam-packed schedule. And I think for someone like a younger jungler, like Contracts going probably, I mean, let's just assume that C9 is going to Worlds. Like Contracts has already had, this is his second split. No, this is his second split.
Right.
So he has he doesn't have any international experience, but he's played in the LCS already 2 splits, and then he goes to Worlds. He's already been on the team. He already knows all the players. He already living in the house where Omar literally came in 2 weeks ago and played his first LCS match right from Challenger Series, playing on stage for the first time. All that stuff. I think it's gonna be a real challenge for CLG to do well. Right. However, if that challenge would be greater with Dardoch, probably not. I think a guy like Aframu, who's very outspoken and very much probably him and Hai are probably like the biggest leaders in LCS.
Mm-hmm.
I think Afro probably could have been able to control him. Darshan as well, but for some reason maybe he was disrespecting the coaches and Tony and all them. But I don't think, if I'm CLG, I wait till the end of Worlds to make a decision on this. I don't think it's very smart of them because this is arguably the best chance that they have to win a split since they won against TSM.
Right.
And that was solely based off of bad performances from TSM and the bot lane specifically.
Yeah.
That was over a year ago already. So they haven't, made much noise. They were mediocre last split with Xmithy, which is part of the reason he left. But I think if I'm CLG, that's a terrible decision to make because, Worlds is coming up. This is a decision you make in spring, not summer.
Right.
Summer counts. Spring doesn't count as much. MSI, it's whatever. So I just think it's a bad move on CLG's part.
100%. I think, especially, like you said, I think something must have been really, really bad. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Something must have been really, really bad where, like, people couldn't even get along or see each other.
No.
Because if you're literally kicking a guy, or, I would say kicking a guy, replacing a guy, after your record is debatably the
pretty
best
good.
It's been, something really bad must have happened. And I think that's crazy, right? Obviously, COG and these, League of Legends organizations tend to really make sure that none of this really gets out there. But obviously, we know Dardoch, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Safe to assume what happened.
Yeah, I'm really, I'm not really going to go based off him. But I do think, COG definitely, I think they jumped the gun a little bit. And like I said, either that or it was really just a bad situation for everybody. Unfortunately, their press release doesn't really say much about that or what actually happened. It's just more or less, he didn't agree with our mentality and our culture, so we just let him go. So what does this mean for TL?
It doesn't mean much. I mean, there's talks of Golden Glue, the mid laner, going to TSM. I don't even know if you've heard about this, to play with
I don't think
behind Bjergsen. He wouldn't get any playing time, but there are talks about that. And then they just have so many players. Like they have Rainover, who is also a jungler, and they have Inori too. So 3 junglers that were, I wouldn't say not S tier, but they were not bad junglers. I mean, Inori's always been pretty consistent. Rainover was good when he was on Immortals with Hu-Ni, not Hu-He. But I mean, I think Dardoch probably will get the playtime. It doesn't matter because let me look. I think they're 4-10. Yeah, they're 4-10. So they're not making playoffs. They're not going to Worlds. So for Dardoch, it's just I don't feel bad for him, but at the same time, it's kind of like, he doesn't have much going for him. I think
it's kind of his fault.
He may fare well. Maybe he will fare well in Europe if he goes to Europe to play. I don't see him joining another LCS team. Every LCS team has good junglers at this point, except for, CLG really. And I don't see him getting another starting position unless something happens, like internationally or like a roster changes made. But I don't see anyone dropping their jungler for Dardoch because this is 3 teams now, 3 times that this is.
They've had what, 2-3 years?
He was on TL with Smoothie to 2015 summer.
Yeah.
And then he went to Immortals. So he was on Immortals for 2 splits, CLG for not even a full split. So I don't know. I think time will tell to see what happens with him. But as far as CLG goes, I'd be really scared if I was CLG.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, my thing is like, Now COG is probably like, was trading Xmithy really worth it? Obviously,
Hold on, because Xmithy wanted to leave. That just came out recently.
Right.
He asked to leave, so it wasn't like a trade. It was like, well, it was a trade, but at the same time, he wanted to leave, so they wanted to get something back for him. So they wouldn't have kept him either way. It just happened to be Dardoch that they were getting back. So that's something that people don't really know about. That just recently came out that he actually did want to leave. Don't know why he won't say, but yeah.
I know, but if I'm Immortals, I'm just like, got you there, CLG.
Yeah, they won the trade. They really did.
They won the trade, and like this is what I said from the beginning. I'm like, if CLG doesn't control Dardoch, something terrible will happen. And there it is, and it's really sad. It's especially with CLG, the organization itself is probably one of the most professional, very well-rounded, great management, great staff, great ownership. Teams, all their teams are very professional. It's really surprising, for this to really happen under CLG, right? I would expect this. I mean, you look at Team Liquid. I mean, it's on. No offense to them, but it's a shit show. It really is. It's a joke. Everybody on their, they can cry, they can pout, and then they'll get their way, right? And I think as weird as it sounds, I think that fits Dardoch's that's Dardoch's org, right? That's where he belongs initially, and he's back there. However, it's just sad. COG, I really hope they don't just spiral down and just lose all these next games.
I don't think so.
Because that would be really shitty. If I'm COG. But right now, like it's funny to me, right, to see how Immortals is just like, I won the trade and you got that, fine by me, and I wouldn't be surprised if Dardoch just gets benched after this, and potentially even moves to Europe to try to get on a team there. But I do think Dardoch has destroyed any form of positive reputation that he's ever had. I truly, after this, I think this is like I said, 3 strikes you're out. I really do think this is the last straw for him. It's just, as an organization owner manager, why would you want to bring a player that commits conflict or creates conflict in an organization? He created it in Immortals. Maybe not, Immortals is really good at keeping things enclosed and making sure things don't get out. At the same time, I'm pretty sure stuff happened at Immortals that they're not going to release. And I mean, we already know TL's fucking shit show that happened there. So, like you said, 3 strikes you're out. I don't see him, actually getting another chance from another top team anytime soon. And potentially, I mean, he might even just go to another, region and probably play there.
Or Challenger too.
Yeah, Challenger too. Yeah, I mean, he's a good player, right? I mean, nobody debates that. He's a really good player. It's just his attitude.
Yeah. All right. Moving on. We were going to talk about SK Telecom, but I don't think there's too much to talk about. They just went through a rough patch. I just want to bring up another question that we haven't really talked about this too much, but I think you could provide a good opinion. There's been like a kind of a debate going on in League of Legends now. Where some pros just don't play solo queue at all or like enough, and people think that that's kind of like not good for them. So I was just wondering, I mean, we can provide some examples, but I was just wondering like what your take on pro players in solo queue are.
Pro players in solo queue, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, NA solo queue is probably the most pathetic thing in the world, and I understand why players don't even bother to actually play and actually try to get a high ranking in it. I think Riot has always had issues trying to figure out matchmaking and the whole idea of the rank system. I mean, it's just not good. It's not fun. It's usually one team destroys or you get shit on. It's really just that. There's really no competition. A lot of people just meme, play troll champions. It's really not. The competitive aspect is not there, especially at the highest level.
Yeah, so there's like a bunch of like things going on, like, oh, Haunster's Diamond 1, or oh, Stix is Diamond 2, or like Cody Sun is like Diamond 3, like just weird things going on that like doesn't represent their play skill. Mm-hmm. Whereas then you see some players like Svenskeren and Ole of Immortals who are like, rank 1 is my goal and I'm going to get there, and they play like 8 games a day. And even Sneaky has 2 accounts like top 20 from his stream. So there's some players that like play it a lot, and there's some players that don't. I just think that there's no reason not to, just because, I guess it's kind of fun after scrimming all day. Maybe you want to take a break, but I don't think there's a reason why they should be so low. I think it it's kind of a joke to see like, arguably the best top laner in NA as like a Diamond 1,
right. I mean, my thing would be an easy solution for this, and obviously this is would be kind of weird in some way, but why don't you do it to where it's like a completely separate like pro bracket or pro system, where essentially there's people that are not pros that play in Challenger, or something like that, right? Really high elos. So my thing is like, why don't they just completely make all the LCS teams have one specific, I guess level on the ranking system?
There's not enough players playing at once. I think it's gonna be hard to find games.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, that's
especially with your role and everything.
Right. That's the issue too. I think not enough people play it too or take it serious. I think LCS. I mean, NA has been really judged by other regions on that. Like, you compare NA solo queue to Korean solo queue. I mean, it's really just night and day.
Because if you go on OPGG and you look at the leaderboards for Korea, and you click leaderboards, all of the people in the top like 20 it all has like a pro tag next to their name. Yeah, they're all pros. The top 20 in Challenger in Korea. Yeah. Let me check on that actually. Yeah. Oh, they're all pros.
100%. I think that's the thing too, right? I think the way that we look at solo queue is completely different the way Korea looks at solo queue, right? Mm-hmm. Korea is really like, if you're up there, you're expected to be amazing, right? And NA, it's almost like if you're up there, either it's not okay. Either you're okay, you either bought an account or you're a one trick.
Yeah, one tricks.
It's really that, and I think that's the issue with NA. Solo queue, and that's the reason why I guess as a pro I wouldn't want to play that either. I think it's kind of like shitty. Why am I gonna keep on playing a game where play rank where you have people that play like one champion all the time? Yep. It's kind of it's boring. It's like whatever. I know Sneaky. I mean, right? You look at him and he does it for entertainment purposes. Obviously, it's good practice for mechanics and things like that. But for the most part, let's be honest. Like, if you ever watch this, if you watch a stream, at times you see where it's like he just gets cheese.
Yep, a lot.
Right, and it's like there's no point on playing that. You don't learn anything. I mean, Jensen has been criticized about that too, right? And he doesn't even play mid.
Yeah, he doesn't play mid in solo queue. He plays jungle.
Right, and it's like I think it goes back to that, right? Like, why in their mind it's like, why am I going to play something where it's fucking troll?
Yeah.
Which I don't blame them. I wouldn't want to play. I mean, it's really toxic.
Yep.
I mean, people just talk smack to each other, and you look at other regions. Not to say that other regions aren't toxic, but the glimpse of solo queue that I see pros play when they go to other regions like Korea or anything like that, the level of just professionalism in those regions and that elo is very, very different compared to NA. So like over there, the highest elo is like mid tier here.
Yep.
Pretty much. And the competitive aspect isn't there either. It's just more like a fucking joke.
And then guys like I'm a Cutie Pie ranked number 9 on the leaderboard. Somehow, and I don't know. I think that's the issue with NA solo queue, and I think a lot of people kind of correlate that with how good NA is. I kind of agree with it. I think in order for NA to get better as a region, solo queue has to be taken a lot more serious. If it doesn't, then it's just going to continue up being a meaning. Yep.
Yeah. No. Definitely. So what we have NA LCS playoffs coming up pretty soon. I'm looking at the team standings as of now. Who would be your 4 teams? Because right now, 2 teams are tied for second, 3 teams are tied for 4th. What do you say? Who do you say qualifies?
I'm pulling it up right now.
Yeah.
So Immortals, obviously.
Yeah.
CLG, TSM, C9.
You think C9 is gonna take this?
Yeah. Yes, I think so.
I think it's going to be between. Yeah, go ahead.
Dig. I don't think Envy makes it.
Yeah, I definitely don't think Envious makes it. I do think it's going to be between C9. Well, yeah, C9 and Dig, the ones that make it out. Team Envious potentially, if they have luck on their side. These upcoming matches, but I do think definitely C9. I would have to say Immortals, CLG, TSM, and Dig and C9. My thing is my concern is C9, right? Like, are they going to show up at playoffs or are they not going to show up at playoffs? Because I think, a lot of people try to say, oh, that shitty split or just an average split for them. They weren't playing this well. But I think C9 is one of those teams where they can just, have almost like that have that turn on switch and just go. So my thing is, I expect them to potentially, make a run to potentially even winning this split, just because I think, they have the backing for it. Their players are really, they're good players. I just think they weren't clicking on cylinders these past couple of weekends. But I do think if they do qualify, I do think it's going to be like, hey guys, we qualified, let's try to win this, even though they're not in the best position.
They play TL tomorrow.
Yeah.
They play FlyQuest on Sunday. Next Saturday they play Envy, and then Sunday they play EchoFox. So they're set up for 4-0 here for the last 2 weeks. They really are. They don't have to play TSM, CLG, Immortals. They really could set up for a nice 4-0 and secure their playoff spot. I think the only challenge for them will be Envy, but that'll be a good match. That'll be a huge match next Saturday.
Right. And who do you think? Obviously, we'll probably make another episode of this, but who do you think is taking the split?
I don't think anyone's going to beat TSM, to be completely honest. The beginning of the split, they were trying out like a lot of different comps, and they're trying out different comps. You saw Bjerg on Galio a lot, which was kind of like everyone's like, "What the hell? Like, why is your best player playing tank?" It seemed to work out for them. Yeah. They were able to finally start winning with it. And, even Dennis or Svenskaren's having like a pretty good rest of his split, which is good. We talked about this on the podcast before. Haunter having a pretty off split compared to last split. I think he should have been the MVP last split. This split, I think he has a negative KD ratio, so he's dying more than he's getting kills in a non-tank meta, which is a little interesting. However, I do think TSM is good enough to do it. They did it last split, and they had Wild Turtle, and Double Lift is tiers ahead of Wild Turtle, and Biofrost is doing okay, and then Beer is always good. So I think TSM will take it. I think it'll be Immortals in second, C9 in third, CLG in fourth.
Okay, not too shabby. I'm gonna have to, say I think Immortals take this one. I think this is their time to shine. And I'm not gonna lie, the reason why I'm such a huge supporter of the way Immortals as an organization is. And I do think they deserve a win under their belt, a split win. Plus, they're playing really good, really well right now. So, I think if they just continue the way they're playing, I do see them potentially taking down TSM in the finals or CLG for the most part. Unfortunately, C9, like I said, they'll have to pull something out of their rear to actually make it and then actually even play in the final. But obviously, we've seen them go through the gauntlet. We've seen them, do some crazy runs. So I wouldn't be surprised if they make it to the playoffs. To the finals. But I do think Immortals will probably take this split. I really like what they're doing this split. Xmithy, like I said in the previous podcast, I think Xmithy is such a big part of this team, and it makes it to where people feel comfortable playing around him. And I think he fits Immortal in every way. Immortals in every way when it comes to just the way the organization is. It's kind of, based around the culture, all that stuff. So I think it's just, it's positive and good vibes for them right now. So I do think potentially Immortals will be taking the split.
Okay, so if we both agree on the fact that it's going to be TSM versus Immortals, let's go through position, player versus player, and predict. So Flame for Immortals versus Haunter for TSM.
That's not even really. See, Haunter's having a bad split, but I still don't see Flame beating him though.
Yeah, me too. I agree. Haunter has the upper hand. Smithy versus Svenskaren. Smithy, I think. I think you probably agree with me.
Yeah, Smithy.
Pobelter versus Bjergsen. It's not even close.
That's not even close. Unfortunately, Pobelter.
He's not very good.
Yeah, he's not that great. He's not bad, but he's not like, I'm gonna say Jensen, but then every time I say Jensen, I remember the missed Zonias.
The Zonias, of course.
Zonias. So, I don't think he'll get shit on, but I don't think he's gonna do anything crazy to probably beat Bjergsen in the mid lane if they play against him.
80 carry, my role. I give it to Double Lift over Cody Sun. I think Cody Sun's having a really good split compared to what he's had in the past, but just the experience of Double Lift and the consistency of him is just, I don't think you can beat that. And then Biofrost versus Ole, I think I give it to Biofrost just because Ole's having a really good split.
I'm gonna have to disagree. I'm gonna give it to Ole. I've seen some Ole stuff. Ole is nice this split.
He is ranked 2 on the leaderboards, which is nice, but I think just the power of Double Lift is just gonna make just Biofrost just that much better. He's doing okay. He's like pretty middle of the pack as far as supports this split, but it's gonna be close. I still think it's gonna be TSM 3-2 Game 5. I think.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm gonna have to give it to Immortals. I really do think Immortals will take it. I don't know why. I think as a team right now, Immortals is clicking on all cylinders compared to TSM, because TSM has that very fluky. They lost to Dig last weekend, which was pretty surprising. So I do think TSM is struggling right now, and I think this whole split, TSM hasn't been struggling. Like, what I mean by struggling is like they haven't, bringing all cylinders. They've been struggling a little bit. So I do think, like I said, just because of the consistency and the way that Immortals plays as a team, I think that's what's going to make them. The whole idea that a teamwork beats individual talent. I do believe that's in favor for Immortals to actually win the split.
Do you think C9 gets out of the gauntlet?
Yeah, I do. If they've been there before, I don't think all those players. Like I said, it's weird. C9's a very strange team. Because when it matters, they tend to really show up, and we've seen that in previous splits. So I do, if they go into the gauntlet, I do see them coming out of it. How they'll perform at Worlds, probably not the best. I mean, for the most part, besides TSM, now that they played versus, that Rift Rival tournament that they had was a complete joke. But previously TSM hasn't really been performing at the international level, and C9. They've at least made it out of groups a couple of times. So I would say, I think, like I said, it's weird because C9 is a strange team. They tend to really understand how to kick it into gear when it really matters. And I wouldn't be surprised if you do it again.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, also too, what if Dignitas makes it to Worlds? I think this would be the first time since season 3. Something like that. I think they haven't.
Cutie pie.
Yeah, I don't remember. It was like a couple years back, and I think the whole idea that Dignitas has been cursed with the whole idea of never really making it to Worlds. I think this is probably one of their better chances to actually make it.
Yeah.
Envious, I don't see them going to Worlds at all, though. I think they're just they lack a lot when it comes to the team side of things, and just the mentality of the team is just very, very young still. I think they need to have a little bit more people with experience on the roster to be able to really be able to perform or even make it there, right? Because I think, like I said, I think it's more to the mental aspect of a player when you go to Worlds, because everybody's good at that point.
Yep.
All right, but besides that, I think we went through the Dardoch situation, went through the standings. What are your predictions for this weekend?
I think it's going to be pretty standard. There's not too many like big matchups this weekend. As far as like defining moments today is not really much. The Mortals versus TL. Tomorrow, TSM over FlyQuest, CLG over Envy. C9 will beat Team Liquid. Mortals over Dig. Pretty standard weekend. It means a lot for C9 because they have to win 2-0 this weekend for sure. Mm-hmm. And then, they have two pretty easy matchups.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, the rest of the games don't matter too much.
100%.
So.
Yeah, I think this upcoming weekend is going to be huge for C9 to see if they actually, they can kick it into gear. Immortals, TSM, COG don't really have to worry about anything. I think Dig, this is where Dig, if anything, they need to, really kick it into gear. If Dig wants to, my thing is the match to look at for this weekend would be the Saturday match, Dig versus Immortals. I think that's going to be a really big match for Dig. If they can take down Immortals, I truly think they'll probably make it to Worlds.
Yep.
But it's going to be a really good match. I think that's going to be a really good match for Week 9. What are your thoughts for Week 9?
I think it's bigger for C9, obviously. The C9 versus Envy game is probably the biggest game of the split for them.
Yeah.
TSM versus Phoenix 1. TSM versus COG is going to be a big match. That's going to be a battle for first place for sure. Mm-hmm. But also Immortals is looking like they can get a nice 2-0 Envy and then Echo Fox. It's going to be close. It's going to be really close. I don't see Immortals dropping the first spot, though, unless they lose this weekend.
Right.
But TSM,
probably unlikely.
TSM versus CLG on Sunday, and then Saturday, Envy versus C9 are going to be the two matches to watch.
To look forward to, 100%. All right, man. Well, I think this is going to conclude another episode of the Sense for Sense Web Visuals By Impuls. With that being said, any last thoughts, Ben?
No, I'm just excited to watch some league next weekend and this weekend.
Definitely, guys. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to leave a comment, like, and subscribe. If you're watching this on Twitch, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys next Friday. Peace out.
Peace out.